What's up guys? My name is Zach and today I am driving a 1996 Porsche 911 Carrera 4S. Behind me is a 3.6 liter flat six and down below is a 6-speed manual transmission. Now I am super excited to be driving this here 993 Carrera because I grew up loving the look of these. If you've ever played the Need for Speed high stakes games, you'll know exactly what I'm on about. And so today, I actually get to experience that. But before we get on to anything else, I have a website, zackprado.com, where you can buy stickers like this retro sticker pack or big friggin' bottle sticker, both with free shipping. You can also submit your own vehicle to be reviewed by me through a quick and easy submission form, and you get a video of your car just like this one. And you can read my behind the scenes blog to see what I'm filming before it comes out on the channel. But let's get back to that 3.6 liter flat six. Well, it's an air-cooled engine, and that is the most important part about it, because this is the final air-cooled 911. Since its conception, the Porsche 911 has had an air-cooled engine. But after the 993 generation, after this generation, Porsche said no more. And we'll talk about why towards the end of the video. Like I said, paired to it is a 6-speed manual transmission. Feels amazing. I really love the feeling of it, but the clutch pedal is mounted to the floor. Kind of an interesting older Volkswagen slash Porsche thing is that air-cooled vehicles have their pedals mounted to the floor. So it's a really interesting driving sensation, but I love it. One thing I don't like about the transmission, I do have to say, is that it does have skip shift, meaning to try to get some extra MPGs out of you, it will suggest that you go from first to fourth under low load. It's really annoying, especially in a sports car. However, you get over it. It's just one of those things where it's just like, you know? Last but not least, this is the 4S, meaning it is all-wheel drive. Driving it around, you don't really notice the four-wheel driveness of it. It drives like a normal Porsche, and it only added about 150 extra pounds to the driveline, which at the end of the day isn't terrible. And what's interesting about the 4S, the way you can tell besides the badge at the back, is that this one doesn't have a split vent at the back while the 2S's do. Kind of interesting.
Also, what I found interesting was that the 4S gets the turbo brakes while the 2S, or two-wheel drive Carrera, didn't.
With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have a bunch of gauges. On the far left is my fuel and oil level. Then I have my oil temperature and oil pressure. And then I have the center-mounted tachometer. This is very typical Porsche. I love that, very signature of them. Then I have my speedometer off to the right and a quartz clock, which I love. The steering wheel doesn't have anything on it. It does have an airbag, so it is that era, of course, 1996, but overall looks very Porsche-y. Off to the left, I do have a climate control vent and my headlights, as well as the ignition, traditional for all Porsches to have it over there. And then on the door, I have my power windows, I have 2 speakers, and of course the latch to get in and out. Moving into the center, I do have climate control vents and some knobs on the dash. What's interesting is that I just got out of a Porsche 930, and you can see the reminiscence here. 930 had a similar setup. But I do have defrost, and I have a cigarette lighter and things like that. And then I do have my climate controls off to the left. This is where you'll start to see a really plasticky era from Porsche in terms of these dials, but they all work well, and it's functioning here today, which is all I can ask it to do. I have my lock and unlock, as well as my hazard switch.
The exclamation point button is just to turn off the warnings that might come up on the dash, and then we do have buttons for the power sunroof as well as the rear spoiler that comes up. You can manually adjust that, or it will come up at a certain speed.
Then I do get the shifter itself. It looks and feels amazing, very Porsche. It is absolutely to die for, and I love the look of it. Feels fantastic as well, as Porsches should. Then I do have the handbrake, and this center console is a lot less cluttered than the 930. They sort of refined it a little bit, and I love that. However, in their refining process, they did not add cup holders, so the 993 911 fails the big friggin' bottle test. The seats are nice and comfortable, a lot more comfortable than the 930, which I can appreciate. This was very much a nice cruiser car that you could use all the time. Again, they did have the turbos, and those were, of course, more motorsport oriented, but this was a nice car you could actually drive out to dinner and not have a sweat puddle underneath you. Now, the 993 does have back seats. Interestingly, if you want back seats from Porsche, you had to go to the 911. Smaller cars like the 914, Boxer don't have back seats. So, kind of interesting there, but as I say in all my Porsche 911 videos, you should not put anyone back there for any reason at all. However, speaking of space, we do have a frunk up front. Here's what it looks like. Again, don't expect to put a month's worth of luggage up there, but go to the grocery store, you want to put like your jacket in there, things like that. You can absolutely do that in the front of the 993. Moving away from the trunk, I do want to talk about the exterior look. First of all, I love this midnight blue. It's one of my favorite colors for Porsche, especially matched with the tan interior. I love it so much. And this, to me, this body style is so iconic. It's so Porsche. And I know all the 911s look similar, but to me, growing up playing video games with this car in it, seeing this car in movies, and then Rough put out their version of this car, it's so iconic to me that, like the 930 I just got out of, I would welcome one of these into my living room as a piece of luxury art if I had the choice. I just think that they're so pretty. So the 1995 911s didn't get an inhibitor, but the 96 and onwards did. These can actually be really finicky. But now let's get on to my final thoughts. Well, I love this car. I mean, there's no stranger there, and I'm sure if you watched the 930 review before this, it's echoing the same thing. These cars are fantastic to drive. They're very drivable, unlike other higher performance cars of the time like Lamborghini and Ferrari. This I could actually take downtown and get a cup of ice cream if I wanted to and not really worry too much about the driving experience. Even it being air-cooled, the temps haven't raised above normal this whole drive. They're fantastic. However, this is an important car in the 911's history because this car bankrupted Porsche. Towards the late 80s, because of the success of the 930, Porsche actually had some coin, and they dumped all of that coin into this car, the 993, the last air-cooled Porsche. However, when they started selling them, they were selling them at a loss. Porsche was not turning a profit on this car. And so with every 993 they sold, they were actually losing money. And at the time, Porsche didn't have the robust lineup that they have today. They didn't have Cayennes and Macans to fill in the gaps. So they spent, well, wasted all of their money on this car. And that's what caused the 996 to be such a mass-produced vehicle where the quality really dropped. Driving a 996, everything is cheap plastic inside. Well, that was all to cut costs so Porsche could keep the lights on. But at the same time, I love and respect this car because it is the final air-cooled vehicle from Porsche. This was the end of an era that started in the late 1800s with Ferdinand Porsche coming up with his little engine ideas. This was the final brushstroke. This was the period at the end of the sentence when it came to the air-cooleds. And to drive a piece of history like that is just the coolest thing in the world. And not only that, the 4S's are in pretty high demand along with the turbos. This car right now is well up into the 6 digits. And I kind of get it. Huge thank you to Nino and his father for letting me take out this 993. This is a childhood dream coming true, and I cannot thank them enough. This has been such a cool day. I've driven now the 930 and 993 in the same day. I am a kid in a candy store, or really just a kid in a Porsche store. I love these cars so flippin' much. It's so cool to drive these historical pieces and just some of the best cars you could ever purchase, ever. There's no two ways about it. Huge thank you to them. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.